even people I work with at the radio station, like, man, your content is off the chart. Your lighting needs to be fixed. So we got new lights today, so hopefully that's going to be a little better today. And as soon as John gets the camera up and running, which he will in just two or 3 seconds, because Instagram, for some reason, has to be a different camera. So we're ready to go. All right, welcome. What we're going to do today is I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. You, whatever platform you're on, can type in whatever questions you have. If you're watching this as a replay, you could just send your questions to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. But if you're watching live, type your questions in. John will read me your questions at the end of 24 minutes. Then I'll do another 24 minutes, and John will read me your questions again. So you can do it that way. And anytime, day or night, you can always send me a question through drjoe, drjoe.com, our website. So I'm ready to start whenever you are, John. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. We're going to answer a question today. Can dementia be reversed? Now, that's a big question, because a lot of money spent on dementia, and a lot of people are very concerned about dementia. So the things we're going to talk about today are things that you have control over now. So, spoiler alert, the answer is probably or maybe. I shouldn't say yes. Most people. And the more compliant you are, what we're going to talk about today, the better results we see. Now, there was a fellow named is a fellow named Dr. Dean Ornish. Now, Dean Ornish did randomized controlled studies to see if you could reverse heart disease. And what Dean Ornish found was that the answer was, in many cases, yes. Because when I went to school, I was taught you cannot reverse heart disease. It's done, it's there forever, and it just is what it is. So Dean Ornish said, what if we got people on a plant-based diet? And let's see what happens. And he got great results. So if heart disease is the number one killer, and if there's a way to reverse it without drugs and surgery, that's pretty cool. And so Dean's research is very well documented, and so the answer is many times yes. So what's good for your heart is good for your brain. So if we look at the blood vessels in the brain, and they're all clogged up with plaque and they're constricted, and you're not getting blood to the brain, that's a bad thing. Same thing with the heart. So if we can clean out the blood vessels to the heart, at the same time, we're going to clean out the blood vessels to the brain. You can't do one without the other. And so if you look at a clogged artery, and it's thought to have a direct impact on Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia and all brain function, and now we have a way to open up those blood vessels and bring blood to the brain, nice big wide open blood vessels with lots of blood flowing, that would be a good thing, right? Well, it is a good thing. And we do know this, that we do cholesterol studies, and you heard me talk about cholesterol in the past, that it's not so much the cholesterol floating around in your blood, it's the cholesterol stuck to the artery walls. Most people, if they have cholesterol high in their blood, are on a diet that's oxidizing the low-density lipoproteins and causing them to stick to the artery walls. So if you have high cholesterol, you also have the other factors that make the cholesterol stick to the artery walls and be dangerous. Now, there are a few cases where people can have high cholesterol, but normal calcium scores, what we call, or clogged arteries, but usually lifestyle is all-encompassing. So if we know that a cholesterol over 225, if we do studies on people like that, you have a 25 times higher odds of ending up with what we call amyloid plaque in the brain. This is plaque building up in the brain, and it takes about 10 to 15 years to happen. When a plaque builds up in the brain, we call it Alzheimer's. Now, there's other studies, and I'll do another show on this, that the plaque built up on the brain is not the cause of Alzheimer's. It's a reaction to the body trying to protect the nerves, kind of laying down a scab almost over the nerve to protect it. But in the process, it short circuits the nerves. So we can remove the plaque, but if we don't remove the thing that caused the plaque, the amyloid plaque we're talking about in the brain, the protein buildups, that's the issue. So if we can reduce the plaque buildup, whether it's in the arteries, and in the process we reduce this other type of plaque called amyloid plaque in the brain, we many times see amazing results. And the good news is you have control over that in most cases. Now, in terms of dietary guidelines for the prevention of Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, it centers around what I've been teaching you for 40 years. And it's cool because I was teaching this 45 years ago, and every year, every month, it seems like another benefit comes out to eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, whole grains. So the diet, it's a dietary lifestyle of health. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Now, if it's too confusing to you, think about this. Plants, 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 and then more plants. That's it. It's very simple. So the more plants we eat, the better off we're going to be. And this explains why vegetarians, not even vegans, but just vegetarians, have up to 3 times, are 3 times less likely to develop dementia. So if I'm thinking about my senior years, which I do, and I think, okay, how can I live as long as I can, as healthy as I can? That would be the goal. We know now that for Dean Ornish's research on heart, and now the projected research on Alzheimer's, is clean out those arteries. And you clean out the arteries by eating plants, and more plants. But it's not an all or nothing. So don't get nervous. Even just substituting 5% of animal protein with plant protein significantly reduces your risk of dying from dementia. Just 5%. You already see changes even at that level. So the question is, why wouldn't you do this? And I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Now, we're going to talk about other risk factors as well, but these are the things you have total control over. So this is the thing that fascinates me. If the number one killer of people is heart disease, and we know that the research, Dr. Ornish's research, is very clear, and it's been duplicated by other people too. Dr. Esselstyn has agreed with it. There was something called the China study. Some people argued with it, some people didn't. But over and over again, we still keep coming out with the research that shows it's a good thing. The Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is mostly what Dr. Ornish is talking about: fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And everyone agrees, well, most experts agree, that the Mediterranean diet is the best diet for longevity. It's the one that the studies have shown very clearly. So what Dean Ornish did is he conducted a randomized control group, and he fed some people lifestyle changes, gave them diet, exercise, supplements like B12, because if you're eating a plant-based diet, many times you're deficient in B12, so you take a B12 supplement. And walking about an hour a day, relaxation. And what he found, overall, it's called the Clinical Global Impression of Change score, so this is how they measure it. Most people in the control group kept getting worse. None of them showed improvement. So if you kept eating your typical lifestyle, nobody got better. 40% of the people eating healthy got better. So then the question arises, why only 40%? Why not 100%? Well, not everybody followed the rules. And what they found, the more the study participants complied with the recommendations, the greater benefit in cognition and overall function. So basically, the better you are at it, the better results you get. So the studies are very clear. There's not really questions about this. So the bottom line is that one diet has been shown to help reverse heart disease, reduce the risk of death in a majority of cases, and that diet can help reverse the number one killer of men and women, again, heart disease, and it can help reverse high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, obesity, dementia. Shouldn't that be being taught in every school, any health school, medical, chiropractic, osteopathic, nursing? Shouldn't that be class number one? The number one killer, heart disease, dementia, high blood pressure, diabetes, all the chronic diseases have one common thing, that if you eat a good diet, you many times see improvement. So to me, it's a no-brainer. And this is my thought process. If there was a better way to eat, I would eat that way. If meatball sandwiches on crusty Italian bread with mozzarella cheese on it is better, I'd be eating that. But we know, and I study all the time, and I used to say a lot, and I haven't said it in a while, if you knew what I knew, you would do what I do. I don't know if I made that up or not. I'm not sure. But if you knew what I knew, you would do what I do. Because in my mind, I'm very logical, there's no other way to look at it. I want to live as long as I can, as healthy as I can. And that's it. There's your answers. Now you'll hear about these other fad diets. You know, there's a meat diet and a paleo diet and a caveman diet. And all of those have benefits, but they also have downsides. I can't find downsides to eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. I've looked. The only nutrient that we have to worry about if you're eating this lifestyle is vitamin B12. Well, if you're eating other diets, there's other nutrients you're going to be lacking too. So that's why I recommend everybody take a methylated B complex, not just B12, but all the B vitamins. And I say methylated because I've had people with dementia, I've had people with autism, I've had people with learning disabilities, ADD, and they have an issue where they can't convert the B vitamins, or what we call methylate, into a usable form. And so we get them on this B vitamin protocol, this methylated B vitamin supplement, very inexpensive. And many times we see great results. I've told this story before, but one of my employees, Christy, adopted a son at birth who was addicted to heroin. And so he always had trouble focusing. Great kid, loved being around him, really smart, he loves anatomy. So he and I look at charts and talk. I think he's 9 now. And I said, have you ever tried a methylated B complex? And she said, well, I've given B vitamins. I haven't seen much results with it. I said, I gave him a bottle of one of ours, Dr. Joe's B vitamins. And I said, I want you to take one of these every day. And I set it up with his mother already. I said, I don't care what mommy says. I want you to do this every day. And Christy and I winked at each other. And he started taking it. She goes, within a week, he was able to sit through a whole class. She goes, he's not fixed yet. I mean, obviously a lot of damage from the heroin at birth. But he's able to sit through a class now. Amazing results in a week. So it's very important for brain function, and one of the key supplements has to be B complex. Everybody should take B complex, because what we do with B vitamins is we pee them out every day. Now, you're not going to pee them all out or else you die, but you pee out a lot of your B vitamins every day except for B12. So you want to get the B12 as well, and that's why a methylated B complex with folate, not folic acid, methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin, makes such a big difference in most people's lives, including energy. But it's one of the secrets to keeping the brain working efficiently. And then cutting out the bad foods. I call them the 7 deadly sins. Years ago, I came up with this as a joke one day. I was talking to somebody I remember, as a guy named Sean. And I was in my office, and we were talking about nutrition, and I said something about the sins of nutrition. I said, well, it's like the 7 deadly sins from the Bible. This is the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. Ha, ha, ha. Well, it became a standard. The 7 deadly sins are alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweeteners. And over the years, it's held true. Study after study after study are showing alcohol does this, coffee does this, meat does this. And so, yes, all of them have benefits, including alcohol. There's some benefits to it, but the benefits are far outweighed by the negative impact. And as a logical human being, I think, okay, what makes sense? Let's do the thing that's going to be the most effective, least expensive. There you go. And being logical sometimes hurts me, because a lot of times I'll have people in my life, even people I've dated, okay, you want this? Well, okay, here it is. But you said you wanted this. And I think about that with health. People say, well, Dr. Joe, I want to get healthy. I want to drop my blood pressure. I want to reduce my risk of diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, dementia. Okay, here's your answer. Well, I don't want to do that. But you just said you wanted that. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through all the work to get there. Well, it's not work. You have to eat anyway. Why not eat good food? That's a very simple concept in your life. Why not make the best choice you can at that moment in time? Have a Mexican restaurant, have a bean burrito instead of a beef burrito. Go to an Italian restaurant, have marinara sauce that doesn't have meat as opposed to the meat sauce. Go to an Asian restaurant, have stir-fried veggies instead of stir-fried beef. It really is that simple. I love Thai food. Have tofu. Tofu has so many benefits. Somebody said, I heard it has estrogen in it and it could grow your man boobs. No. There's different types of estrogen receptor sites in the body, alpha and beta. The alpha receptor sites can cause the overgrowth of estrogen, like man boobs, cancer, things like that. The beta receptor sites don't do that. And tofu activates the beta receptor sites. Soybeans. So that whole thing is wrong. Otherwise, everybody in Asia would have boobs, right? Because they eat tofu almost every day. So not the case. Anyway, I digress. So we're talking about what's going to be the most effective, least expensive protocol. I'm going to go through risk factors in just a second. For anything, when it comes to brain health, you want to keep the arteries clean. The best way to keep the arteries clean, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Very simple. You've heard me talk about chiropractic care. Chiropractic is the most effective, least expensive treatment for pain. So if you have pain, why wouldn't you go to a chiropractor first? That's a rhetorical question. I don't know that answer. Yes. If you want to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Stop suffering needlessly. Go to my website, drjoe.com, book an appointment. Normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that for my listeners to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Any one of those things alone is going to cost you more than that. The x-rays alone, the nutrition evaluation alone. Why do we do this? We do it because we want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Is it chiropractic? Is it nutrition? Is it orthopedist, neurologist, neurosurgeon? I don't know. Gastroenterologist. Let me be the captain of your healthcare ship. I'm going to steer the ship and take you where you need to go to get the best treatment possible. So make an appointment now. drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Book your appointment. We do fill up quickly. We can usually get you in within 24 hours in most cases. Sometimes we can't because we book up. So don't wait and say, oh, I was going to do it. I missed my chance. drjoe.com. Just do it. Stop. And we take most insurances, so no complaining. So we're talking today about reducing the risk of dementia. And Alzheimer's is one type of dementia. So let's go through these risk factors, what they are, and how you have control of them. That's the key sentence. You have control of these things. Well, one of them is age. Now, the issue with age is I can't change that, right? I just told you have control of it. But there's a lot of action steps that you can do. Stay mentally and physically fit. I remember somebody saying to me the other day, say, Dr. Joe, you've been doing this now for 40 years. Why don't you just retire? And my response was, what would I do if I retired? I love doing this. I love sharing this information with you guys. And I have some friends that have retired, and I start to see their mental capacity start to slip, physical capacity start to slip. I want to do that. I don't want to play pickleball the rest of my life. I want to be able to do this because it's fun. As long as my brain is working, it's exercising my brain as well. So one of the things you can do is go to my podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. And that's the audio, Dr. Joe for the Health of It on your podcast service. And start listening to a podcast. We do 2 a week. Listen to at least current ones. But you can go back and listen to old ones as well. And that's going to keep your brain sharp. It's going to make you think. And most people have to hear something 11 times before they remember it. And so you're going to say, well, he talked about that 3 weeks ago. He talked about that 7 weeks ago. Oh, finally I got it. Now I understand what he was saying. So listen to the podcast. We have the video version of it on YouTube. So we have the audio on your podcast service, video on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my podcast channel. Get the information to remind you. Time to listen. Time to exercise the brain. And you got to stay socially active as well. Get out and do things. You should follow me on social media, by the way, Dr. Joe Esposito. And I go to a lot of concerts. I love concerts. And I just went to 10,000 Maniacs last week, and that's a band from the 80s. You may not know who they are. And people post, you go to more concerts than anybody I know. Part of my brain exercise is I like going to concerts. It reminds me of being young. It takes me back to when I heard the first song or who I was dating or maybe who I was hanging out with in my van back in high school. Yeah, I had a van with fur and interior mag wheels. I did. And it helps my brain work. Another thing I do that actually helps me to remember the past is I go to estate sales. Because estate sales are usually elderly people. And maybe they passed away, they moved, and their family's selling their stuff. So it's kind of cool to walk through and go, I remember that. Oh, my mother had that. Oh, my sister wore that dress. And it kind of reminds me. And so this way you stay connected to your roots, but keep the brain working. And then you get exercise as well. So we can't reduce age, but we can reduce the risk factors that go along with age. And that's really important when it comes to brain health. Now, heart disease is another risk factor when it comes to brain health and dementia. We kind of covered that earlier. But high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, they restrict blood flow to the brain. So what can we do to open up those blood vessels? Well, of course, we talked about the plant-based diet, or at least the Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is plant-based, but it has a little fish, a little dairy in it, little alcohol. So you want to go, if you want to, don't go all the way, at least go part way and do the Mediterranean diet. Exercise regularly. Monitor your heart markers. Get your blood work done. I have no problem getting tests done. I like them. Now, supplement-wise, there's a supplement we have called Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, and it increases circulation to your heart, your brain, your sex organs. As we get older, that's an issue for both men and women. So we want to get the blood vessels opening up the best they can. I love nitric oxide. I take it every day. Now, I just created a chewable nitric oxide supplement, and it's nitric oxide and ginseng. Now, ginseng is a natural stimulant. No caffeine. It's also an aphrodisiac, so be careful with that. And it has citrulline, which opens up the blood vessels as well. And people are loving them. Took me a while. I had to invent them and then have them manufactured. Now we finally got them in. And the chewables are just phenomenal. Take two. You can take them 2 or 3 times a day if you want to, or just once a day. But they taste great. They remind you of like Smarties candy, if you remember back when. but great flavor, and it gives you that, not coffee energy, the way you're shaking, it just gives you a little boost of energy and brain function. Where caffeine just gives you the shakes, this is actually going to open up your blood supply. So we have the capsules that I take every day anyway, but I take the chewables as well for the extra burst of energy. And all these things are on the website, drjoe.com. And I did a show on heart disease. So if you have a question about heart disease, you have a question about anything, send it to me through the website, drjoe.com. The emails come directly to me. I'll answer the questions. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, send another one. Okay? It says contact us on the bottom. We just updated the website. I want to make sure it's getting through. So contact us on the bottom. Little square pops up on the homepage. Click that. The emails come to me, and I'll send you protocols. We have protocols for just about everything. So you want to reduce your risk of heart disease. You want to lower the cholesterol levels. You want to get the blood vessels opening up. And as you get older, you don't produce nitric oxide like you used to. So even if you're as healthy as you can be, you still want to make sure you keep those blood vessels flexible. And that's where Dr. Joe's nitric oxide comes in. So if you're just tuning in, I am aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito, and we're talking today about reducing your risk of dementia. And there's many, many things you can do. I'm not going to get to all of them, by the way. As always, I come up with way more notes than I need. If you want a copy of today's notes, send me an email through the website and just put dementia or Alzheimer's, either one, dementia or Alzheimer's, in the note in your email, and I will go ahead and send you the notes. And it's absolutely free. I don't charge you for it. But you'll see the show notes that I use, and it's basically a checkoff sheet, this. And you could say, okay, I can do this, 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 and this. I'm not ready to do this yet. Or do it all. The more you do, the better off you're going to be. I want to keep you around for a long time, and I want to keep you healthy for a long time. I don't want you being miserable in your final days. I want you to be as healthy as you can. I mean, there are people living now 114. I think 114 is the oldest now, or 118. I'm not sure. Why not? I'd like for you to be somebody in the record books one day. I want to be in the record books someday. So we're talking today about risks that you can avoid, and one of them is air pollution. Now, I can't reduce all the air pollution, okay? But fine particles are in the air, so what do we do about it? Use an air purifier at home. Change your air filters. You have two options when it comes to air filters. The newer versions are much thicker air filters, and they're a little more expensive, but you don't have to change them but every 3 months or so. If you have an old style where they're really thin ones, change it every month. It'll cost you $10. But change those air filters often. And on high pollution days, maybe you want to stay indoors. Do your exercises indoors. Have your food prep and prepare your meals. And you want to keep plants in the house because plants can filter out junk, which is nice. And so I have plants all over my house, and it's wonderful because it helps filter out the air. Kind of cool. Another thing I do as far as indoor air pollution is I have no carpets in my house. Now, when I moved into the house many, many decades ago, it had pink carpet. Yes, pink carpet. But over the years, I've taken out all the carpets. I've put in hardwood and tile, and I have a robot vacuum. Like Roomba's a brand name, but there's many of them out there now. And I hit my robot vacuum when I go out, come home, and most of the house is clean. Now, it doesn't get in the corners exactly perfectly, but if I can vacuum the house on a regular basis, every day if I wanted to, and then if it's, if I have to go around the corners with a little, a mop or something to clean the corners, that makes my life a lot easier. But keeping the house clean is really important to keep the air clean. And we can't get away from all the toxic chemicals, but there's a lot of things you can do. Diabetes, we talked about that briefly. Oh, almost out of time here. We have a lot more to cover. We have a whole other segment coming up. So if you have any questions, I'll pick up on diabetes when we come back. Go to my website, drjoe.com. You can send me questions through the website. I get questions a lot every day. I sometimes wonder why you guys are sending messages at 3 o'clock in the morning. But sometimes I realize it's from Australia, it's from England, whatever. It's in different time zones. But send me a question through the website. I'm happy to answer them for you. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, the Dr. Joe Esposito. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. And if you want to see the video of that, it's on my YouTube channel, Dr. Joe Esposito. So follow me, subscribe to the YouTube channel, send me your questions. Social media, we post every single day. So as long as you follow me on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, we will post every day and give you one little health tip every single day. Because I want to be your doctor. I want to help get you well and keep you well. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. All right. You got questions?
Is a coronary angiogram the best test to see plaque in your arteries?
It's very good, but that's only going to do your heart. You want to do a whole body. Um, Virtual Imaging is a company that advertises on WSB. I've had their scans. That's a company you might want to consider, but a full body scan is going to be really the best thing for you because it's going to test everything from head to toe because you may have plaquing elsewhere. And here's the thing with that. Okay, you do an angiogram. You got the LAD, the Widowmaker, clogged up. We got to put a stent in. And they put a stent in. You say, oh, my God, you saved my life. Thank you, doctor. They did. Nobody that I know of has ever said, now, John, let's talk about why you have clogged arteries and what we need to do to reverse that. Never heard anybody say that. So if you get a test and it's positive, come see me. Let's put together a protocol for you. So what else, John?
What are your thoughts on statins?
Statin drugs will lower your cholesterol. However, the same pathway, the enzyme, I'll keep it simple, the same enzyme that produces cholesterol also produces something called coenzyme Q10, CoQ10. And CoQ10 is necessary to get into what's called the mitochondria of the cell and generate electricity. So, if you're taking statin drugs, I strongly advise you take a CoQ10 supplement as well. Now, that being said, why are you taking statin drugs? The old elephant in the room, right? Why are you taking statin drugs? Well, my cholesterol's high. Why is your cholesterol high? Uh-oh, that's where the conversation stops. Many times, if you clean out your liver and change your diet, your cholesterol drops dramatically. About 1 in 100 people have genetically high cholesterol. 99 out of 100 would probably benefit tremendously from very simple dietary changes. So that's why if you have high cholesterol, send me an email. I'll send you the protocol I recommend. And let's see if we can bring your cholesterol down, and then we don't even have to think about statin drugs anymore. Wouldn't that be nice? I can't take you off the drugs, but I can tell you how to get well enough so hopefully you don't need the drugs. But make sure you're taking CoQ10 if you're taking statins. What else?
Before eating carbs, should I eat healthy fats or protein?
Protein will slow down the absorption of the carbs. Okay, it'll stabilize the blood sugar. But if you're going to do carbs, we're going to have a supplement coming out very soon. It's called berberine. We have a bunch of new supplements coming out. So berberine helps stabilize your blood sugar. But in the meantime, if you're going to eat carbs, have vinegar. 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Apple cider is my favorite because it's the freshest and the cleanest and the purest. But any type of acetic acid will stabilize your blood sugar. So that's a good way to do it. Make sure you're eating carbs with fiber. Have yourself some celery, a salad if you want to, avocados. Again, avocados are high in fat. They're also high in fiber. And the fiber is going to slowly push the sugar through the colon and give you a slow release of sugar. And then when the berberine comes out, make sure you sign up for our newsletter. If you haven't done that, by the way, everybody needs to do that. And we send out posts quite often, actually. If you don't like them, just unsubscribe. But we're going to let you know when new supplements are coming out. Like the chewables, they're here now. We have a creatine coming out. Creatine helps build muscle mass. And as you get older, creatine, I think, is essential to keep that muscle mass strong. We have a magnesium coming out because most people are deficient in magnesium. We're going to have a berberine. So we have a bunch of new supplements coming out. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, go to my website and do that. Or if you send me a message through the website, we will capture your email and put you on a newsletter list. Just send me a message through the website and say, hey, newsletter. That's all I need. Yeah, but you want to make sure you're eating fiber and proteins and vinegar to stabilize that blood sugar when you eat the carbs, and then hopefully you won't eat the carbs. So, and if you want to avoid those cravings, have a dill pickle. Dill pickle, just saying it, makes my mouth water. Dill pickles have an amazing way of cutting sugar cravings almost to zero. So you can do that as well before you eat your pickles or before you eat your carbs, and you'll probably eat a lot less carbs too. So, what else?
How do you clean the liver?
Change in diet, really. The liver is the fastest healing organ in the body. I can't because I'm not a surgeon, but a surgeon can remove about 70% of your liver, maybe even more, and it'll grow back. Your heart doesn't grow back, your kidneys don't grow back, but your liver does. So the way you clean out the liver is stop putting the junk in. Now, supplements like Dr. Joe's Super Greens has chlorella to clean out the liver. There's another supplement on our website called glutathione, and glutathione helps with the liver as well. So if you're going to clean out your liver, cut out the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Take the Super Greens and Essential Source anyway, and the glutathione, and the liver will start to heal itself. That's the cool part about the liver. It heals so fast. It's amazing capabilities. You just got to stop beating it up. So, what else?
I'm going to the website now to buy the new Energy Boost chewables.
Oh, you're going to get spoiled. We got 2,000 units, I think, and they came in last week. And John is like, we got to start thinking about ordering more, man. The people are just loving these things. They're ordering them. They try them to give them to their friends. So, yeah, I hope you're going to love them as much as everybody else does. So, all right, what else?
That is all.
All right, good. Sip of tea. All right. Let's go to round 2. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with me, I'm glad you did. I appreciate that. We're talking today, or answering the question, is dementia reversible? And the answer is many times yes. So not everybody's going to respond the exact same way, of course, but there's a lot of risks that you're exposing yourself to right now that you need to mitigate. You need to take positive steps to deal with that. Diabetes. Wow. Number 1 drug I see my patients on is high blood pressure. Number 2 is diabetes and cholesterol. Maybe it's tie. So high blood sugar damages the blood vessels. So if you can imagine sugar is like an acid. And when sugar is too high, the acid can tear up the blood vessels and damage them. So we want to keep the blood sugar levels down to take the stress off the blood vessels so we don't damage them. Because when you damage them, the body's smart enough to say, okay, I got a little tear in this blood vessel. Let's lay down some cement to make that tear a little stronger. And that cement is called cholesterol, hardening of the arteries. And so when you have hardening of the arteries, it's usually due to oxidation of the low-density lipoproteins because of irritation on the artery walls. And so bottom line is stop causing the problems. So what's your action step? Cut out your processed sugars. That's hard to do because processed sugars taste good. I know that. But there's a lot of things you can do to reduce your sugar intake. Number 1 is no white sugar in the house. It's very simple. If you want a sweetener, you can use stevia, allulose, not quite as sweet as stevia, but you can use allulose. Lohan is another option. So you can add these things in there as well. So start getting the processed sugar out, and nothing with sugar added to it. So that would be sodas, candies, things like that. You don't do those anymore, especially high fructose corn syrup, because high fructose corn syrup is worse than sugar. So you want to stay away from the sugars. You want to make sure you're eating a lot of fiber, because fiber slowly pushes the sugar through the colon, gives you a nice release of sugar slow. We talked about vinegar. Vinegar can help stabilize blood sugars. So whenever you eat something sweet, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, which you shouldn't be eating anyway, but if you do, you want to add, maybe take 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Mix it with water, drink it down, swish your mouth out so the acetic acid doesn't eat away at your teeth, and that'll help stabilize your blood sugar. And I said earlier at the break, I was answering some questions, is if you have sugar cravings, I want you to have a dill pickle first. Makes my mouth water. Anything bitter or sour is going to curb those sugar cravings. Works well. And we have a new supplement coming out very soon called berberine, and berberine is also very good to stabilize the blood sugar. So we're going to have that coming out relatively shortly. And that's why I want to make sure you're on our newsletter. If you send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, with any questions you have, we're going to capture your email and put it on our newsletter list. And unless you tell me not to, we're going to do it. And we send out updates, newsletters very frequently, actually. And many times it's announcing a podcast. Maybe it's a show. I was just quoted on a company called Medscape. They did a survey on people with low-calorie diets and brain function. And I was cited as an authority, which is kind of cool. And so they cited me on Medscape. So something like that will publish this. Hey, look, Dr. Joe's on Medscape. So it's kind of neat stuff. And if you don't like it, just unsubscribe. But we'll let you know when the new supplements come out. Like when the chewable energy supplements came out, we put it on a newsletter, and of course everybody got excited. So we're going to have a lot of new supplements coming out. Creatine, which helps build muscle mass, especially as you get older. And creatine, you take 5 milligrams a day. It's a little tiny scoop. It's 100 servings in a container, so it's really cheap. But creatine helps with something called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is your muscles wasting, it's called, about 1% per decade. Even if you're working out, you're still wasting the muscles. You just don't have the muscles you used to. And so creatine is something that helps. And it helps with brain function, which goes back to my dementia lecture, what we're doing right now. A lot of studies are showing people on creatine have a lower risk of dementia. So that's a real inexpensive investment when the creatine comes out. And it'll be out very shortly. We're just waiting for the shipment, actually. So there's a lot of things we can do to stabilize the blood sugar. Like I said, the berberine vinegar is great. Dill pickles help curb the sugar cravings and stabilize the blood sugar. Fiber, have some carrots, have some celery, have a salad. Does wonders to stabilize that blood sugar. And in many cases, just like we talked about earlier with Dr. Oh gosh, what was his name? Ornish. Dr. Ornish talked about blood reversing heart disease and helping open up the blood supply to the brain. The same protocol, which is nice, can help reduce blood sugar as well. So Dr. Ornish has shown it. Other studies have shown it. Plant-based diet, Mediterranean diet helps stabilize blood sugar. So if I had diabetes, if I had a heart attack, if I had clogged arteries, if I was starting to get dementia, I would think to myself, what can I do proactively to get myself better so that my later years aren't horrible? Not only for me, but what about my family? What are your caretakers? Somebody has to take care of you. I don't know if you've ever dealt with somebody with dementia. First time I was ever exposed to it, I was dating a girl named Lynn, and her mother had dementia. We went to visit her in a home, and I thought her mother was joking. I didn't understand it. Lynn walked in and said, "Hi, Mom." She goes, "Who are you?" "It's me, your daughter." "Who?" And she was so clean about it, like, "I don't know who you are." Of course I don't know who you are. I mean, it wasn't like she even stuttered. "I don't know who you are." And it broke my heart, and it broke her heart as well, too. I've been blessed. I've never had anybody in my immediate family have dementia, but I've dealt with patients where we start treating them, and after the first 2 or 3 treatments, they'll come in and they'll say, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Dr. Joe. I'm your chiropractor. I worked with you before. I adjusted your neck, remember?" "No, I don't remember ever meeting you." And at first it sounds like they're just, busting your chops, but the brain really is gone. And so I would do everything I can to prevent that from happening, and that's why we're doing this talk today. Another thing that can lead to dementia is loss of smell. So you can do a smell test. The doctors can do smell tests, and if you start to realize you're losing your smell, several things you can do. You want to stimulate the smell. So get yourself some essential oil, like peppermint essential oil or orange, and just keep inhaling it. And it can help jumpstart the nerves. Now, your olfactory nerve goes directly to your brain. And there's only a small piece of bone in your skull called the cribriform plate between your sinuses and your actual brain itself. So it goes really quick into the brain. And so that's why smells bring back so many memories. Because the sense of smell is so quick and so powerful that you can smell something. Like if I said right now, think of something that would remind you of your grandmother, a smell. You probably can think of it. Think of something that reminds you of Sunday at home with your family. You can probably think of it. I can. And so loss of sense of smell is a big issue, and also goes along with loss of hearing. Because if you're not hearing properly, you start to withdraw. My father was deaf. My father had a horrible accident before I was born and fell off a ladder and broke his skull and went deaf. Now, he could walk, he can talk, but he couldn't hear. Now, today's technology, we probably could have done a lot with it, but back then we didn't have that technology. And so I was very concerned for him that he might start to lose his mind. He never did. Unfortunately, he had a heart attack and died because he had rheumatic fever as a child. And rheumatic fever can spread to your heart and damage his mitral valve, it's called. And so he was young, he had fever, and it wasn't taken care of. And that's when it became a big problem. Eventually, it was the cause of his death. So you want to make sure that the brain stays active. And one thing, my father was just an amazing human being, even being deaf all these years, 40-some-odd years he was deaf, that he would socialize constantly. He'd go out with his friends. He'd go out with my uncle, I big family, my cousins, and he was always socializing. And that really helps the brain work, especially if you can't hear. Turn off the TV for 10 minutes and see what happens. You lose your mind. Imagine 40 years of that. So loss of hearing is a big issue too, so you really want to take care of yourself. First chiropractic adjustment ever, September 18th, 1895, was on a deaf man and brought his hearing back in Davenport, Iowa. And I, in my career, have brought 2 people's hearing back through chiropractic care. I've had several I haven't brought their hearing back, including my father, but there were 2 I have brought their hearing back. So take good care of that hearing. I love going to concerts. If you follow me on social media, which you should, you know I post concerts probably once or twice a week. Always wear very expensive earplugs. Now, if I want to hear the song, I'll take it out for 10 seconds and put it back in. Now, you can still hear it, of course. It's just muffled. But it's not worth me losing my hearing. So loud noises can do that. So just be careful with your hearing, having personal experience with it. We're talking about things that you can do to reduce your risk of dementia. And cholesterol, of course, is a big issue. But there's so many easy ways to lower cholesterol. Bergamot is a supplement. Bergamot can help stabilize cholesterol. High-fiber diet, plant-based diet, Mediterranean diet, cutting back on your animal products, your meat, butter, cheese, yogurt, eggs, ice cream, cutting back or cutting them out does wonders for bringing down your cholesterol. So we want to do that because, again, it's not so much the cholesterol that's floating around your blood, it's the cholesterol stuck to the artery walls. If you have high cholesterol, it probably means you have a bad diet, and a bad diet oxidizes the low-density lipoproteins and makes it stick to the artery walls. So eat a good diet. Something else this is interesting that can lead to brain issues is herpes viruses. Now, there's about 100 different types of herpes viruses. Most of us have some type of herpes virus in us. The one you think about is genital herpes, herpes 2. Herpes 1, cold sores, a lot of people get them. But the virus may contribute to Alzheimer's plaque. There's some early studies on this. So you want to prevent flare-ups of all viruses. One of the simple things you can do to reduce your flare-ups is cut out peanuts. What? Peanuts? No, we're talking about herpes viruses, Dr. Joe. Where do peanuts come from? Peanuts are high in something called arginine, and arginine can actually stimulate herpes outbreaks. And this is why many times during baseball season, I live in Atlanta, so the Braves, people start to come to me in spring and start to say, Doc, I'm getting these herpes outbreaks. Maybe it's genital, maybe it's oral, whatever it is, shingles. And I'll say, what'd you do lately? Nothing. Go to a Braves game? And they always look at me. What do you mean? Yeah, I did, as a matter of fact. Did you have peanuts? Oh, yeah, I did. So peanuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which are bad for you on many different levels. But the arginine can actually cause herpes virus outbreaks. The supplement we use to open up the blood vessels, Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support, is citrulline. Citrulline doesn't have the same effect as arginine. They both create nitric oxide, but taking an arginine supplement can actually activate herpes viruses. So if you have outbreaks, you don't know why, you might have had peanuts. You went to a Thai restaurant and had nam sam or something that had peanuts in it. Or you went to a circus or a basketball game or a baseball game and had peanuts, and now you know. Don't eat peanuts ever. They're no good for you. Well, there's some benefits, but the negatives far outweigh the positives. The omega-6, the fungus, they have a fungus on them called a mycotoxin. Valencia peanuts are the only ones that don't have the mycotoxin. Not that that matters. I don't want you to eat them anyway. So, and you want to keep the immune system strong. Immunity, Dr. Joe's D3 with K2. So important for immunity, and most of us are deficient in D3. Now, you want to make sure you do D3 with K2, because here's the deal. A lot of older people here, you need vitamin D, so they take vitamin D. One of the many things vitamin D does, it takes calcium from your food and brings it into your blood system. Vitamin K2 takes it from your blood system and brings it into your bones. If you're taking D3 without K2, you have a tendency to build up calcium in your arteries. And that can clog the blood supply to the brain, which can contribute to dementia. So D3 with K2, I take it every day. You should too. And get your D3 tested. I want you to between 60 and 80 nanograms per milliliter. Most people say 40 is acceptable. Not for me. I want 60 to 80. So if you can get 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter, just 60 to 80 on your blood test, that's where you want to be. And then it also helps clean out the arteries. How cool is that? Double bonus. And it's so cheap. Pennies a day. So that's something you want to consider. So you want to keep the arteries as clean as we can and keep the immune system as strong as you can. We have two supplements. I don't talk about them much. One is called Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic. And this is if I have an infection. If I feel cold coming on, runny nose, scratchy throat, ear infection, I'll take Seasonal Tonic because it has ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic, and it helps kill the viruses. During the winter especially, I take Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster because of Echinacea, pau d'arco, and olive leaf extract, which stimulates my immune system. Now, it does have a little bit of alcohol in it. It's the only product we have that has alcohol in it. So if you have an alcohol problem, don't take it, okay? But the vitamin D is so important. And cutting out the sugar. Sugar just blows out your immune system. It's not a secret. It's not like I have new research on this. Everybody knows that. So cut out your sugars. Keep the immune system strong. That'll help all viral outbreaks. And the other thing that can help your immune system stay strong is chiropractic care. There were studies done at Life University in Marietta, Georgia, years ago, where they can measure your immune system, measure white blood cell activity, adjust you, and they find the white blood cell activity kicks in. So another reason to keep your spine healthy. If I could just convince you that in order to stay healthy, you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. If I can convince you of that, I now change the whole course of your health care for the rest of your life. And the missing link really is physical. Every day, multiple times a day, I get messages through my website, drjoe.com. You can send me questions too. And people say, Dr. Joe, I have sciatica, and I did physical therapy, and I had injections. What diet can I take? It's usually a bone out of place or a muscle spasm. You got to physically put the bone back in place. The supplements are great, but it's like tuning up your car. You want to tune up your car and put good gas in it. One or the other is good. Together is when you get the best results. So that's what you want to start thinking about. How can I tune up my body? That's chiropractic care. And how can I get the best results? Put good gas in it. That's supplements and good diet. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us, sometimes it's general wellness, sometimes it's pain, sometimes a car accident, go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com, book an appointment. We can usually get you in within a day. Our new patients do fill up quickly. You can imagine. We have 3 offices, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in Atlanta, and we fill up very quickly. So if you want to make an appointment, do it now. Get your appointment. Normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone are going to cost you more than that anywhere else. The reason we do this is we want to find out what's the best course of treatment for you. Is it with us? Is it with another doctor? Is it with a therapist? I don't know. Let's find out. Let me be the captain of your healthcare ship. I want to drive and guide you through this mess that we call healthcare to get you to the best, most effective, least expensive treatment possible. So drjoe.com. And we accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, Medicare, or even on a VA referral list. Let's get you in. Let's get you treated. drjoe, drjoe.com. And if you have any questions, send it to me through the website, drjoe.com. So we're talking today about action steps that you can take to reduce your risk of dementia. Processed meats. Meats are bad, in my opinion. If you're going to eat meat, I'm not going to argue with you. I just want you to do organic only. That's a fair deal, right? Organic doesn't have the steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, genetically modified food, glyphosate. It's a healthier version, the healthiest version. So organic chicken, eggs, meat, dairy products, cheese, just do organic. If you're going to do it, do the right thing. Okay, if you're going to eat meat, you might as well eat the best kind there is. And please stay away from processed meats. I had a laugh. I saw a commercial. It was for a sandwich shop. And it had the foot long, whatever, big long, whatever it was. And it said 52 grams of protein in this sandwich. Wow, that's a lot of protein. That's great. I should eat that sandwich because it was told you eat more protein. A, you don't need that much protein. But B, it's in the form of cold cuts. The worst kind of meat. So just because it's high in protein, everything else far negates anything that and positive effects it may have. So please, don't fall for advertising. It's true. They didn't lie. Was it 52 grams of protein? That's true. But man, that stuff will kill you. So please be careful with that. Kill you slowly, I should say, but it'll kill you. And watch out for those high-carb meals. The breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Just be careful with that. If you're going to do rice, pasta, potatoes, sweet potatoes, I want you to do this. I want you to cook it, put it in the refrigerator and cool it off, usually overnight, and then eat it the next day. You create something called a resistant starch. And with a resistant starch, you absorb 40% or more less carbohydrates. And what you don't absorb becomes a prebiotic, which actually feeds the good bacteria in your colon. How cool is that? So there's a lot of good news there, too. Head injuries. I took this the class in traumatic brain injuries, and I teach classes on this. In fact, I'm teaching a couple of weeks of this big national conference on the neurophysiology and biochemistry of traumatic brain injuries. Basically, what can you eat and what shouldn't you eat if you have a traumatic brain injury? Now, most of us have had a traumatic brain injury. Car accident, your head snaps back and forth, your brain slams into your skull. Sports, football, hockey, falling, slipping, hitting your head, falling, roller skating, ice skating, banging your head in the attic. Most of us had traumatic brain injuries. If you have a traumatic brain injury, you double the risk of dementia. I have a traumatic brain injury. I was hit by a car when I was 10. Then I played football and hockey, so I have multiple traumatic brain injuries. I am very high risk, and I'm very careful about what I do because I know better. So you can too. So fall-proof your home. One of the best things we can do to prevent falls as we get older is build up the muscles in our legs and our butt and our feet. because that creates stability and balance. Okay? So, fall issues, I do a whole lecture on fall prevention. Fall issues are a big issue, especially among the elderly. So, fall proof your house, move things around, get the carpets out. Don't make the floors too slick. Make sure you're wearing slippers with non-skid bottoms on them. So there's a lot of things we can do to fall-proof ourselves, fall-proof our house. We got to fall-proof ourselves. Now, if you have an injury to your low back, there's a joint down there called the sacroiliac joint. The sacroiliac joint has, and don't quote me on this, it's been years, I think 32 pair of what we call proprioceptive fibers. Proprioceptive fibers tell you where you are in space and create balance. Your jaw has almost the same amount of proprioceptive fibers. And so if you have a TMJ problem, pain in your jaw, that can affect your balance. Damage to the low back, the sacroiliac joint, can affect your balance. And that increases your risk of fall, which can increase your risk of traumatic brain injury, which can increase your risk of dementia. So let's get to the cause of the problem. Don't be eating foods that make you tired. Eat foods that give you energy. Super Greens, essential source. Of course, that's the minimum supplements everybody should be taking. That's the starter kit. And then nitric oxide to increase circulation. Vitamin D with K2 to clean out the arteries. B complex, because B complex is vital for brain function. Staying away from the foods that wipe us out. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Staying away from those foods. At least cutting back on them. And if you do eat carbohydrates, create the resistant starch. Cook it, cool it, eat it the next day. Take a berberine supplement. Take some vinegar with it to stabilize the blood sugar. Make sure you have a salad with it and something high in fiber. So we have action steps we can take. So if you're going to cheat, at least mitigate the damage. If you're going to drink, take an extra dose of Super Greens, Essential Source, and B Complex. You're supposed to take it first thing in the morning anyway, which everybody I hope is doing. Take a second dose if you're going to go out drinking alcohol. So I'm a realist. I understand you're not going to do everything I say, but I'm giving you just tips. Loneliness. Loneliness doubles the risk in people under 80 and leads to faster cognitive decline. So join social groups. Pickleball is a hot thing right now. Go do pickleball. Volunteer. Connect with your family, your friends. Listen to my podcasts. Okay, you get to watch them live when we do them live. I know that's not in person, but at least it's a social connection. I mean, I'm single. I understand that it's sometimes I think, gosh, I wish I had somebody I could go spend the rest of my life with. But I make up for that because I have a lot of friends and I have a very active social life. So hang out with people you like, too, by the way. That helps tremendously. Obesity increases your risk of dementia. So activity, eating the right foods. If you go to my website, send me an email if you have any questions about anything. If you send out obesity, I'll send you the protocol I use for my patients. I used to be fat. I can say the F word. I used to be fat. And so I'm very careful about what I eat. I don't have trouble every day with food anymore. I mean, I was fat when I was a kid. I don't have trouble with food every day anymore. I have trouble with food every meal. I have to think about every meal and say, is this the best choice I can make right now? And am I going to regret this if I do, if I eat it? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to regret it, don't eat it. Make the best choice you possibly can. And this is a journey, not a destination. It'll get better and better as time goes on, I promise you. And of course, I hope you don't smoke, but if you smoke, that's just going to clog up the arteries. I have a whole training class on smoking. If you are a smoker and want to quit, let me know. I'll send you the training class that I have. All right, I'm looking at the clock. I got a lot more to cover. I'm not going to get to everything that I want to, like I never do. If you want a copy of today's show notes, send me an email through the website. Just put dementia or Alzheimer's in the title, and I will send you a copy of today's show notes absolutely free. It's my gift to you. If you have any other questions, drjoe.com. Send me your questions. Happy to answer them for you. Make an appointment to come see us. That's really the best thing you can do. We can do it virtually, too. All the supplements we talk about, Super Green, Essential Source, Vitamin D, B Complex, nitric oxide, chewable nitric oxide, are all on the website in the store section, drjoe.com. I had a guy call me this week, and he said, Dr. Joe, I take about 11 of your supplements. He goes, I can't imagine life without your supplements. He says, I've never felt better. So I want to be your doctor. So drjoe.com, podcast Dr. Joe for the health of it. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Let's get to the cause of your problem, not just treat the symptoms. I'm Dr. Joe. See you next time. All right. What you got?
As a stroke happens, does the brain reroute blood to other blood vessels?
Yes. The brain has something called plasticity. And in plasticity, the brain can actually rewire itself around damaged areas. Now, there are a lot of things you can do to activate plasticity. Sometimes it happens naturally, but you really want to facilitate the plasticity. So if there is damage, there's certain chiropractic adjustments we can do. I can give you exercises to do to activate the plasticity in the brain so it can rewire itself. So the answer is yes, but you got to help it sometimes. What else?
What is the best shampoo to use?
Jason's is what I'm using right now. You want to make sure it doesn't have phthalates, parabens, not tested on animals, of course, because those usually have the chemicals in it. But the all natural shampoos are much better. You can get them at Sprouts. Sprouts brand actually isn't bad either. I've used theirs. Jason's is another brand I can think of. Anyway, look for the natural ones. It's well worth it because anything you put on your head is going to be absorbed right into your brain. So you don't want to put chemicals and toxins on there. So, what else?
Can you invite some of your naturopathic contemporaries onto your show with you?
I can. I haven't, but I can. My Sunday night show, I can have guests, but I have to get them screened by my boss. But the problem is my show is only 2 hours on Sunday nights and 1 hour here. So I don't have a lot of time. I got a lot to cover in a little bit of time that I have. I'm hoping, unless you want to send emails to the boss over at the radio station, WSBradio.com, and say I need more airtime, I don't have time to do that. Now, I may expand the podcast and have guests on in the future, but right now I'm busy doing everything else. So, but if you have somebody you like, let me know. What else?
Is saran wrap okay to use?
Saran wrap, if you put it on something hot, is not a good idea because it will melt. It will get plastics into your food. I can't imagine a place I would use saran wrap that would be healthy, certainly never in a microwave. So I can't think of why you'd do it. If you had a can, maybe you want to put it over the can, but I wouldn't try to put it in contact with the food, especially something that can scratch it because it'll put plastics into your food. I got a show on microplastics coming up in a few weeks, so we'll cover it there too. So the answer is probably not. So, what else?
What are the best seeds to eat, and can I get them at the grocery store?
The best nuts to eat would be walnuts, if I had to pick one. Walnuts and macadamia nuts, if I had to pick the best of them all. But pumpkin seeds are great. They help kill worms, parasites in your body. They're high in zinc. They're high in iron. They're wonderful. So pumpkin seeds are great. Sunflower seeds are okay. They're a little higher in omega-6 fatty acids. Chia seeds are excellent. Flax seeds are excellent. Hemp seeds are excellent. And all of those can be gotten in a grocery store. So, but no peanuts. Remember, stay away from the peanuts. What else?
That is all.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. What are you going to do? Follow me on all platforms, right? That's your payment. That's your cover charge for today. Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, The Dr. Joe Esposito. And we will hopefully talk to you over the week through my website or